Welcome to Director's Notes, everyone. As part of our Oscars coverage, today we're joined by Loïc Espuche, the director of Yuck, one of five titles battling it out for the Best Animated Short Film Prize at this year's Academy Awards. Thanks for joining us, Loïc.
Thank you for the invitation.
So for our audience, Yuck isn't yet available to view online. So for those people who haven't seen it yet, can you introduce the plot to them?
Okay, so it's the story about the little Leo, a 7 years old boy who, like all of his friends in the campsite, scream "Yuck" each time he sees a kiss. And it's easy to see when two people are about to kiss because their lips start to shine in pink with sprinkles. And so Leo is so disgusted by that, but he has a secret. When he look at Lucy, the little girl next tent, his own lips start to shine in pink. So it's a story about beginning of feelings, first kiss, and the fear of other people gaze.
And what inspired you to tell this particular story?
Um, in fact, it was during the screening of my previous short, which is the story of a soldier who goes off to war. And at the beginning of the movie, he say goodbye to his fiancée by giving her a little kiss. And this movie has been screened in a theater full of kids. And at the moments of the goodbye and the little kiss, all the audience, all the kids start to say, "Oh, yeah, it's so disgusting. I cannot watch it." And when I saw this reaction, it was so funny for me. And I started to think, wow, I absolutely have to make a movie, kiss, and the reaction it provokes to children. And so that bring me back to my own childhood.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as a dad of two young boys, I can definitely confirm that any romantic moment in a film is met with kind of disgust and horror, especially watching it with their parents. Um, and for me, that's one of the things I love about Yuck is just how universal it feels. This is a subject whether you're young or old, you can kind of relate to and connect with. For some, it will take them back to their childhood. For some, they might feel like some of the other characters in the film. Was this broad appeal something you were thinking about and wanting to embrace when you were creating the film?
Yeah, totally. For me, it's a movie about childhood, but not just for child. It's also for grown-ups. Uh, because I think that the theme like fear of other people gaze, the way to find your own secret gardens as stuff that we have all experienced as kids, but maybe we still continue to experience that as adults. And so also in the staging, I wanted to make a movie that me as adult will be happy to watch. And I really like the idea that the cinema is something we share together
Yeah.
in a theater or and I like when we can share it between generations. And so all that I think about it since the script and to try to develop something interesting for child, but also for adults. And what was surprising for me is that I was thinking that it will be a movie mostly seen in France. But in fact, it has been screened a lot in other country, and I'm super happy that also people from other country can see this movie.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I always love a good short that feels like it appeals to those different generations. One I can enjoy myself in the theatre, but also something I want to show my kids. And Yuck is definitely one of those films. But
Thank you.
I wanted to focus a little bit on the lip glistening. So for me, I think that's a real magic. It adds a kind of a real magic quality to the film for me. I've actually got the film on in the background while I was watching it a
Yeah,
bit
it's all right.
earlier. And I just love, that you've decided to add this kind of physical element to the film. So what was the thought behind the lip glistening? Why did you want to add that to the story?
Um, yeah, I told you that I got the idea from the screening to speak about the kiss and the reaction it can provoke to children, but I needed a concept
Yeah,
to go and to tell this story. And I was inspired by the child I was. I was really shy, really observant, and also I was afraid of other people gaze. And so having the lips that tell to everyone that you want to give a kiss because your mouth start to shine, it's written on your face, was a concept that was really connected to the fact to try to hide your feeling. And so the idea came from that. And it's also something like it's visual. So it's connect. We don't have to, how to say, use words to say, I
yeah,
love you, I want to
yeah,
kiss you.
yeah,
It's changed a little bit all that. And yeah, I think that's it. Also, I wanted, yeah, another point is that I wanted to create a kind of contrast between the image and the sound. Because with the pink lips, the image say the desire to give a kiss. But the sound with the dialogues of the child who say, yuck, oh, it's disgusting, say the disgust. And so for me, there were also something really cinematographic in this contrast between image and sound.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, you know, the sound, when it comes to the sound, especially the soundtrack, it adds a real kind of nostalgic tone to the film for me. And there's a few elements in the film where I was watching it, I was thinking, okay, it feels kind of timeless. It could be set 20, 30 years ago, but it could also be set now. So I want to know again, was that something you were thinking about when you were developing the film? Did you want it to have a nostalgic feel, or did you want it to feel particularly timeless?
I think this was not conscious, but more organic,
Yeah,
because it's also inspired of my memories of campsite when I go to summer vacation with my family. And for example, visually, at this time, campsites in France were with a lot of tents, but no more bungalow. And today we have more bungalow, but I wanted
yeah,
to reproduce the idea of campsites that I had in my childhood. Also, there is some elements that are nostalgic for me, like the blue table of the Lucy mother. It's something that everyone had when
yeah,
I was a child. But in same time, for example, there is elements from today, like the shirts of the football guys, soccer, I think in English, um, with Messi, Ronaldo, and the last one is have the shirt of Mbappe. They are more contemporary. And so I wanted to create like a sensation of summer vibe, but I didn't want it to make a movie like, okay, it's this specific years. I think, and for me, it was more about the sensation than something really realistic.
yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, okay, so let's talk about the aesthetic and how it looks. So the film was presented in 2D animation. What was your thinking behind choosing this particular aesthetic for the film? And did you ever think about doing it in any other animation style?
Um, for me, 2D and drawing allow me to simplify a lot and remove details. I want it to be focused on the lips when they shine. And so 2D allows me to make a graphism really simple with solid colors that contrast with the lips and the shiny effect. Also, the the 2D allow me to, in the animation, to change a little bit the shape to have something really organic in the way they move. And globally, even for the background and all that, the fact that I can simplify a lot in 2D the universe, I think that help the, the audience to focus on what is really important. But in same time, that I think that make their own imaginary work. So it's not just what you see, it's what you think you have seen. And so this way, I think it was easier to create a universe that, at least for me, you can put the audience in. Also, there is another two other reason why I choose 2D is that I draw since I'm young. And so for this short, if we were out of budget for any reason, I could finish it by myself, but in
Yeah,
3D, it would have been impossible. Uh, and So we were late for the animation, and so we transfer the money for the backgrounds to the animation to let the animation team finish. And I did all the background myself, which has been impossible to do if I was in 3D or in other
yeah.
technique. And the last stuff is like, for me, it's really important to work with a team. And a lot of my friends are 2D animators, and I wanted to work with them. And so it's another point.
I mean, it's a good reason. Why not? Eh? Why not work with the people you know and you trust? Um,
Yeah.
but I think, yeah, the aesthetic is beautiful. It really works to transport you to this setting and into this story. But something else that I feel plays an important role in immersing you in the story is the sound. It really helps set the scene. I think when your film starts, you the first thing you get is this sounds, and you instantly start to think of, summer and heat and being on holiday. And I did. So, I mean, how did you work with your sound team to achieve the final sound for the short?
Um, First, I think the sound started with the voices. And we decided to record real kids to bring something about life in it, a real life of children. So we recorded them with a boom and we in a big space, so they were free to move and to really play. And it's on this sound. After that, I edited all the voices during 1 month, and in it's on this voice edit that I have done all the animatics. So the movie is really driven by the sound. But you're right, there is also a lot of work which has been done by Grégoire and Maxime at the sound editing and mixing. And what was particular for this movie is that in same time there is many realistic sounds like the
Yeah.
uh, of the insects from south of France, um, and for all the environment of the campsite. But there is this pink lips, and the pink lips is a sound that doesn't exist in the real life because we don't have the lips who start to
Yeah.
shine. And for that, it was super tricky to find the good balance for this sound. And finally, we ended up with 3 layers of sound to make it. One was like sound of skin.
Okay.
Another was the sound of the bubble of sparkling water.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the last one was the sound of a rain stick that adds
Okay.
something more musical to this, and we can control like
Yeah.
more or less sound and like act the apparition of the lips.
Perfect. I mean, again, it works really well. And the music as well, I think works really well. It's again, it has kind of a nostalgic element to it, but for me, it kind of adds to the magical kind of coming of age narrative that you've got in the film. So how did you decide on the particular score for Yuck?
Uh, First, all the graphism are in numerical 2D. So I wanted also computer music, numerical electronic music. Um, and the music has to give the sensation of summer vibe and love, but in a child point of view. And I think that was the trickiest part because I think with electro music, it's easy to go to a love song, but too intense, too adults or
Yeah.
adolescents or something like that. And we needed to have something a little bit naive because First Love, I think it's a little bit like that. Um, and and so this balance uh, was something really important for me. And at 3 months of the end of the movie, of the end of the production, we still haven't found who will make the music. And that's when we came to the Alienor SoundCloud. She's the composer of the song.
Yeah.
And in fact, what is really fun is that she's graduated from the same animation school than me, but 8 years after me. So we didn't knew
Wow.
each other.
Yeah,
And she
yeah.
did the music of her own film, and her style was already what I was looking for during all the production. And
Yeah.
so at 3 months of the end, we called her, and the movie was almost entirely colorized. And and in fact, she directly nailed it. She understood directly the project. I
Yeah.
think she translated the ping sensation of the image to the sound and keep this naive style and romantic. She had the la la la, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was directly perfect.
It is so well done. Um, so Yuck is obviously in the running for an Oscar. It's exciting times. We're really happy to see it on the list. I wanted to know for you as a filmmaker, what does being nominated for an Oscar mean to you? What does this recognition mean for you as a filmmaker?
Mm. I think that means two stuff really different. Uh, in one end, it means like the people who made the movie I watch since I'm a kid will see my movie, and this is just wow, it's so amazing, and I think it gives a lot of exposition to the movie, and it's uh, wow, super crazy. And in the other end, there is something really more intimate that you can tell that to your parents, and you see that they are so proud. And
Yeah.
uh, this is, yeah, something super big and something super intimate, and this bring you this true sensation. It's really moving.
Yeah, I spoke to another filmmaker the other day who's Spanish and is nominated for a BAFTA here in the UK, and he said exactly the same thing. He was saying, it's something I can tell my grandma, and she will understand what it means and understand what the recognition means. So, yeah, it must be really nice. So final question for you today: what are you working on next? Anything you can tell us about any future projects, or is it all kind of just focused on the Oscars at the moment?
In fact, I have been at the end of Yuck, during the end of the production, I was developing a TV show for a young audience. And I learned like 2 days ago that France Television has almost validate the development. So they
Perfect.
are about signing all that to go to production. So I think it will take some times too, but
Yeah,
uh, this is on his way. And I had also, I think, two ideas. One for probably a TV show, but for young adults, I think, and maybe another idea, something more intimate about, yeah, something about family. I cannot tell you too much because it's really the beginning, but I had the feeling that it might be interesting to have that in a live action feature film. But I think I these two new ideas, I need to take time to develop them, and
of
actually it's
course.
difficult with the Oscars.
Yeah, yeah, I bet you're a wanted man at the moment. I'm guessing you're going to be doing a lot of these interviews over the next
Yeah.
coming weeks. So thanks so much for joining us today, Loic. It's great to have you on Director's Notes. We'll be watching the Oscars with our fingers crossed. Hoping that we'll see you up there on the on the award stage, picking up an award. Yeah, thanks so much for joining us.
And thanks to you for the invitation. It was really cool.